Hey you, do you like to travel or would like to do more in the future? Well, this show is for you. I'm going to take you on my journey across Europe and the UK so you can learn from my experiences in real time. Check it out. Hello, welcome to the Where'd You Go podcast. My name is Hunter. I'm going to be your host here. I'm so glad that you're joining me on my very first episode. You are now making history in my book. So I want to thank you for tuning in. And man, I am so excited to share this information with you. So if you haven't figured it out, this is a travel podcast. Now, me and my wife have been planning this for a very long time. We've wanted to travel across Europe and the UK extensively for quite a while, and now that it's finally here, I can't believe that I'm actually right now currently recording in Italy in an Airbnb. So I'm currently on the third level. Now you might hear some Italian children in the background or some dogs barking. These walls are very thin, so hopefully that does not come through. But yeah, I am so excited to share all my stories with you. We've already got quite a bit of stories to share, and man, this is unreal, a dream come true, if you will. But I did want to share this very first episode. This is going to be an introduction, so you're going to get a background about me and my wife, why we're doing this, and what to expect on this podcast. Now, me and my wife, we've been married for 3.5 years now, coming up on 4 in March. And we've always wanted to do long-term travel. Now, there's been some hesitation, mainly on my end, but we've overcome some objections, and we finally made it happen. And I can't believe it's happening already. But yeah, I'm so happy to have you along with our journey. Now, we've traveled together to 25 out of the 50 states. In the 3.5 year span, that's pretty crazy. So we've already seen half the United States. I've been to China myself 3 different times, and she's actually been to Belize and Mexico. So she's got me beat on the countries list. Kind of sucks, but yeah, she's cooler than me. But yeah, we're going to knock out a lot more countries on this trip. Right now, we're in Italy. We plan to go to Austria next, and the Czech Republic is after that. There's so many places that we're going to see, and we're going to share a lot of that information with you. Now, we're very much into history. Most of our trips are pretty much planned around historical sites. It's very interesting to us, and we've been to a lot of historical sites in the United States. We've seen presidents' houses, governors' mansions, battlefields, all sorts of stuff. That's really cool. And my personal favorite that I've been to is the room where they signed the Declaration of Independence. And simultaneously, that's a room where Nicholas Cage filmed the movie. It's pretty awesome. And if you didn't know already, I'm a huge Nicholas Cage fan. So that was a huge thing to cross off of my bucket list. We really enjoy sports. I'm a big sports fan myself. My wife is a hockey fan and a baseball fan. I love basketball. That's my favorite sport. But I do like everything else: baseball, football, hockey, and even some weird sports like rugby and lacrosse. I'm a big fan of just sports in general. It's just exciting. One thing I love about us is that we're big-time nerds. We're big Harry Potter fans. She is more than I. We've even named our dog, who's back home. We named him after the great wizard Albus Dumbledore. So yeah, big time nerds. We've been to 2 different Harry Potter worlds. They have them in the Universal Studios, one in Hollywood and one in Orlando. So we've been to both of those. The one in Orlando is way cooler. It actually has 2 different Harry Potter lands and 2 different parks. So if you want to go check that out, I highly suggest that you do that. Now, when I'm not working, I'm usually creating graphics. That's something that I've picked up as a hobby, and I enjoy doing it. I primarily make t-shirt designs that I sell on a couple different websites. One, I just picked up an artist page that I have on proudlibertarian.com. So if you have not checked out that website, I highly suggest that you do. I have my own page there where I have a couple designs up right now. I also sell some t-shirts on redbubble.com, and you can buy all sorts of different products on there. There's coffee mugs, there's phone cases, there's all sorts of stuff. And it's not just t-shirts. So if you want to support me, I would definitely recommend you go there and check out some of my designs. I also volunteer for the Brian Nichols show. It is a podcast, and it's all about how to sell different ideas, and it's about the art of persuasion. And it's a really, really cool show. It's kind of crazy how I got involved. Brian Nichols himself, he actually messaged me, saw that I did some graphic design work, and he said, "Hey, can you help out the show?" And I said, "Of course, I'd love to." So I've been working with him since February. I'll create graphics about quotes from his show, from his guests, just to help promote some things on his show. And occasionally I'll make some t-shirt designs for him as well. So I would highly recommend that you check out that show. I'm sure Brian would really appreciate it. And I personally think it's a very interesting show, and you're going to learn a lot. So definitely please check out his show, and then check out all of the things that I do as well with Redbubble and proudlibertarian.com. So I'll put those links in the bottom. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll put the links on the bottom in the description, as well as any other site that you're listening to. I'll put those in the show description. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I want to make sure I let you know a little bit about myself and the things that I like to do. So enough about me. I want to talk about what this show is about. It's about traveling. So I'm going to make sure I give you the best information. Now, of course, I'm not an expert, but I'm hoping that I become an expert with my experiences, and I'm just going to share them with you. So I guess you can say that I'm going to be your personal guinea pig. You can learn from my positive experiences, as well as maybe some negative experiences as well. And I just don't want you to make the same mistakes that I do. But no vacation's perfect. Everything's going to have its ups and downs. So as long as you're prepared, you can avoid a lot of those pitfalls. And I'm going to try to help you out with all of those. Now, I wanted to give you some statistics, some hard facts. Now, on Forbes.com, I found an article it shared where they actually questioned 2,000 people about traveling, and these are Americans. So I wanted to share these statistics with you. So 54% of the surveyed population said they've been to 10 or fewer states in America. Now, 10 seems kind of like a lot. 10 means you've kind of traveled a little bit, and it also probably just depends on how old you are. But just over half of those people surveyed have been to 10 or fewer states. 40% of the surveyed have actually never left the country. So that's a little bit higher than I kind of expected. But if you think about it, if people have been close to the borders of Canada or Mexico, someone's probably taken a trip over the border. But yeah, 40% of people have never left the country. Now here's the really interesting one that I picked out from this article. 76% of people surveyed would like to do more traveling than they currently are. That's a lot. That's a huge portion. There's huge desire to travel more. So there's probably lots of objections that people have, and things that are getting in the way of them traveling more often than they would like to. So I would love to go over some of those objections and try to help you overcome those objections. I know I had plenty myself, but it just takes a lot of planning. That's all it is if you can plan your vacations properly, you're definitely going to have a much easier time, and you're going to talk yourself out of those objections naturally. It happened to me, and it took to talking to some friends, some coworkers, and also me and my wife having just multiple discussions, just going over those and overcoming those together. And we made it happen, and you can do it too. I definitely know you can do it, and I want to help you. So there's some huge objections getting in the way of people traveling more. I'm going to talk about two big ones, and they seem kind of obvious. One is money, and the other is just fear of the unknown. Those are the two biggest objections I would say that there is to traveling. It seems pretty reasonable, right? You need to have some money to travel. It can be expensive, and it's kind of scary stepping into the unknown. There's a lot of things that can get in the way. You might think that you don't know the language. You might just be scared about the cultural differences. There's lots of different things that can get in the way. Especially if you just keep thinking, you might be overthinking it. Now, we'll talk about money. Now, there's three ways that I can see that you can overcome these objections to money. So I'll go through all of those right now. You can save up money for your trip. You can work remotely, so that way you're not worrying about money. You're making money along the way. And another one, let me see. Actually, yeah, let's just cover two of them. So saving money, that's the simplest one, right? You just save up all your PTO for a specific time. You save up the right amount of money. If you budget it all correctly, you can take your vacation. So it's easier said than done, right? Well, if you're balling on a budget, there's definitely ways you can get around it. You can look for cheaper flights, cheaper hotels, make sure you're eating cheaper food. If you're strapped for cash, you might have to, not do the luxurious type of trip that you want. But the cool thing is you're there. And that's all that matters, honestly, is that you're there. Go experience the things that you want to see. And save up your money for cool experiences. So you might have to, stay in a crappier hotel. You might have to eat crappier food, but the cool thing is you can go surfing in the ocean, or you can go skydiving, or do something really cool in a place that you've never been, or you can check out a historical site. And there's lots of free attractions that you can go see in different places. So there's many ways. You just have to be very strategic if you're going to save up money. And if you want to save money along the way, there's many ways that you can get around it. Now, the second way is that you can actually save up, right? You can work remotely. So if you're looking to do like a long-term type of trip, ask your employer if they're going to be willing to let you travel and work remotely. Now, especially with COVID hitting, it's been a big thing for businesses to allow their employees to work remotely. So you never know unless you ask. And if you're already working remotely, there's a big reason that they could let you do it. So you never know unless you ask. Go ahead and ask your employer. And if they can't, you can find some place that will allow you to work remotely. There's plenty of places out there. You can check Indeed, just search remote, and just do some research. That's all it is. So those are a couple ways to get around the money issue. And it's going to differ from person to person. So just sit down, talk with somebody that you trust. Maybe it's your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, friends that you trust. Just sit down and have a conversation and plan it out. That's all it is. Just having conversations, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to save some money. Don't be afraid to cut back on some things. You're going to be missing out on some huge opportunities if you don't take them. So that's one big objection is money. Here's another cool way that you can actually save some money on your trip that I didn't mention earlier. Is you can actually there's this website called Workaway, and what's really cool about this website is that people are willing to allow you to stay at their place for free. But the catch is that you have to be willing to work for them. So you could either actually be house sitting for them. You could actually be tutoring their children. And then there's more manual labor, like you can be doing farming, which I think is kind of cool. There's also community service type projects that you could be helping out on. So you could work on building some homes for people, or any other type of outreach that you can be doing for people. So that's another option to save some money. You don't have to spend anything, and sometimes they actually pay per diem. Some of them are actually paid. So I would definitely check that out if you're willing to be a little bit more adventurous. It's a good way to meet more people, and it's a way to learn about people's culture. I'm sure the hosts are more than willing to let you learn from them, learn about the culture, and just learn about different things about their country. So that's a third way that you can actually overcome the money objection. Now, the second objection that I talked about is the fear of the unknown. And that one, you can go down a big wild rabbit hole with that one. Now, some of these objections are, what if I don't know the language? What if I have a hard time communicating with someone? This is obviously with international travel. And I would say don't be so afraid of that one, because there's actually a lot of people that know English more than you would actually realize. And I'm learning that right now. And when I'm in Italy here, most of the people here speak basic English that you can actually get by with. And English is actually considered the international standard for business. So usually that's somebody's second language. So that's something that we kind of overblow in our own minds, is the language objection. So don't be afraid of that one. You can actually communicate quite well. And honestly, look at it as an opportunity to learn another language. I would say Duolingo is a really good app that you can use to learn basic phrases, and it's actually helped me out quite a bit. So I would say take it as a challenge to learn something. And that goes with anything about fearing the unknown, is just learn. Take it as an opportunity to experience something new and learn. Cultural differences is a big fear of, part of the unknown. There's lots of things that could be different. Like, for instance, you might be thrown off by the way people communicate to each other or communicate to you. Some people could be more expressive than you're used to, and you might think that they're angry with you or angry with other people. It's just the way that they talk. It's just a cultural thing. So I would say don't be afraid of the cultural differences either. There are certain things that other countries do differently than us that might make you uncomfortable or might make you feel different. But one of the best sayings that I keep going over in my head that I've learned from somebody is, it's not wrong, it's different. So if you can, consider that cultural differences, they're not wrong, they're just different than yours. And some of these cultural differences you might actually be appreciative. I wish Americans would do this instead of that. So you might come to an appreciation. You might appreciate your culture more after being somewhere else, or you might appreciate someone else's culture more than Americans' culture. So I would just say, take it as an opportunity to learn and step outside your comfort zone. Another saying that I love is, the fear is what keeps us here. And fearing the unknown is just going to keep you in a place that you're comfortable with, and you might not experience something new. And experiencing something new is going to be great for you to learn and be a better person. I think that gets you comfortable with maybe other challenges that you might not take on. So if you can take on this challenge of going to somewhere you're unfamiliar with, you don't know the language, you don't know the culture, you can take that experience with you and apply it to any other challenges that you face in your life. So I would highly encourage you, step outside your comfort zone and go out and travel and see all the coolest things that you can. One thing that really got me out here was thinking about, towards the end of your life, or if you're on your deathbed, man, I really wish I would have traveled more. I really wish I would have seen all the other cool things on this planet. That's one thing I keep going back to. Like, I want to be sitting there smiling, saying, man, I did some really cool things. I got to see the Colosseum. I saw, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I saw the Great Wall of China. That's cool things. And it makes me more an interesting person. I think sharing that with people, I think you're going to start being able to relate to people more. And I think it's just an awesome opportunity. So those are just a couple objections. The main objections are money and fear of the unknown. But I think with basic planning and preparation and just talking with somebody, having a conversation, that's going to get you prepared. And you're going to tackle some challenges that you never thought you could, you never thought you could tackle. Another thing I wanted to talk about is some expectations about this podcast. So a lot of it's going to be monologue. I'm basically going to be sharing my experiences with you, but the main thing I want you to get out of this is all the nuts and bolts to traveling. I want to give you some ways that you can save money, avoid hassle, avoid stress, things that you probably would never have thought of before coming here. Nuts and bolts things like exchanging money, what to expect when you're talking to somebody in a restaurant, like how to order. Those are things I kind of wish I would have known, but I just kind of jumped into it, and I'm learning as I go, which is kind of part of the adventure, to be honest. You can sit there and be a big time planner. I'm kind of half. I like to plan things out, but I also kind of like to just wing it and go with it and just go along with the ride for the adventure. So it just depends on who you are. If you're a planner and a big time planner, go ahead, map it out. Map out everything. Learn everything that you can. But if you like adventure, if you like surprises, which it kind of does make the adventure a little bit more fun, I say go for it and just jump into it. Get out there and go travel. So I also wanted to make sure that I have space to interview people as well that have traveled to cool places that can give us information. Because I'm not going to have every single piece of information out there. There's other people that have great experiences, maybe different experiences than mine. I would love to host and share. So if you have any personal experiences of traveling or would like to chime in, definitely message me and reach out. And I would love to share your experiences. If you've been to cool places like Italy or anywhere in Europe or the UK, definitely reach out, and I'd love to share your experiences. But that's pretty much the introduction episode to this podcast, the Where'd You Go Show. And if you enjoyed it and you're really interested in learning about more, stay tuned for more episodes. I'm going to share a lot of experiences. I know we didn't get to go into the nuts and bolts of everything, but that's for future episodes. So yeah, I got lots of stories to share with you. I'm very excited to share with you. And most importantly, I want to make sure that you're getting great information that you can use and hopefully inspire you to get out there and travel more. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you watched the episode, please go ahead and comment, share, like, subscribe, do all those good things that would help that helps get this podcast out there. So I cannot thank you enough for tuning in. Hope you have an awesome day. Go out there and travel.